notes for today. At the very top, it says solve each equation by taking the square root of each side. Again, those directions are going to be really important for us. They're leading us, telling us what to do. Okay? All right, so very, very basic problem here. I've got x squared equals 25. How are you going to solve this? What are we going to do? Huh? Square? No, not square.
Subtract the 20.
Okay. If it said by factoring, I agree with what he's saying, right? If it says solve by factoring, then you're going to take x squared minus 25 equals 0, right? Set it equal to 0, and then what would my factors be for this guy?
X minus 5, x plus 4.
Good. X minus 5 and x plus 5, right? Because they're difference of squares, all right? So this guy would be your difference of squares. And so you would end up with 5 and negative 5 when we solve, right? Okay, but the directions say solve by taking the square root of each side, okay? So really, there's a couple ways we could solve this problem. So how would you take the square root of each side?
It would be 1 equals 5.
Say that again?
1 equals 5.
No?
The square root.
Okay. Yeah, what's the square root of 5?
5?
Not 5, guys. Don't do that. What's in front?
Negative or positive or
Plus minus 5. All right, so all you're doing is you're literally taking the square root of each side. That's what the directions are telling you to do. You take the square root of each side, all right? The square and square root cancel each other out. We talked about that yesterday. So x equals plus or minus 5. And that's your answer. Okay? If it doesn't tell you which way to solve it, you can solve it either way. But if it says by factor, we solve by factoring. If it says take the square root, we take the square root. Okay, so do whatever directions are asking us to do. So now if we look at number 10, we've got p squared equals 4 over 25. What are we going to do on this problem? Someone besides Ben, he can't answer everything. Chloe? Very good. Chloe says it's going to be p equals plus minus 2/5. That's right, okay? So we square root, the square and square root undo each other, so it's just whatever's in here drops down. And then we square root here. Well, the square root of 4 is 2, the square root of 5 is, the square root of 25 is 5. Okay, yes sir?
Wait, so how do you know if it's plus or minus again?
It's always plus and minus when you take the square root. Always. Okay? We have to still have, remember, we still have to have 2 answers, right? And how do I know that we need 2 answers? What tells us that? The exponent, this guy right here. So it's still telling me I need 2 solutions, and how do I get the 2? By doing a plus minus, okay? All right, so number 11. Okay, we have 4x squared equals 16. All right, so what are we going to do here on this problem first? Any ideas? Quentin?
Square root both sides.
Oh.
You get 2x squared. 2x squared equals 4. And you solve for the...
Okay, I like what you're doing. The problem is going to be, what if I change this 4 over to a 5? Can you do that now?
No.
Not so much. So do we have another idea? It's a good idea. You can do what you're doing on this particular problem because it happens to work because you know what the square root of 4 is. But it's not going to work if we don't know what the square root is. All right, if it's not a perfect square. So what are some other options? What would be another idea? Do you have a different idea of a different direction we could go? No? Okay, Caitlin?
Subtract the 16.
No, because then that means you're going to be factoring, right? And that's not what the directions say. The directions say take the square root of each side.
You multiply that? No.
Not multiply. Malcolm?
divide
By.
by 4.
Yeah. Okay, guys, just solve the equation like it's a normal equation. So, since we've got 4 times, we're just going to isolate the x. That's all we're doing. All right? Just like we do in equations back in like chapter 2. So, that's going to cancel. We get x squared equals 4. Is everybody okay with that so far? And now what would our last step then be? Now square root. Okay? So now when I square root, what do we get? Not 2. Plus or minus 2. Those are our 2 solutions. Plus or minus 2. Okay? Alright, so let's try another one of those. Alright, so on number 12, we've got x squared minus 2 equals 49. Okay? So what do you guys think here on this one? What would we do? Emma?
Add the 2 over.
Good. Add 2 over. Alright? So we're going to add the 2 over and get x squared equals what? 51, alright, now what are we gonna do?
Square root.
Square root. Okay, so let's get that in your calculator. When everybody practice, make sure you remember how to put square into your calculator. So we're gonna square root both sides and get x equals plus or minus.
7.1.
And we've rounded correctly, right?
7.2.
7 point, no, it should be 7.1 because it's 7.14.
Oh.
And that 4 won't kick it up. It's not big enough yet. Okay, it has to be a 5 or above. So we're gonna end up with plus or minus 7.1. Okay? Alright, everybody okay on that one? Okay? Number 13. 3v squared minus 9 equals 72. Okay? Peyton, what do you think would be a good first step here on this one?
Plus 9.
Nice job, add the 9 over. So we get 3v squared equals
81.
81, good. Okay, Evan, what would our next step be?
You would divide, 3.
Good, divide by 3, nice job. Alright, so we've got v squared equals, what's 81 divided by 3?
27.
27, good. Okay, James, what would my next step here be? Good, square root both sides. Alright, square root of 27.
5.2.
Okay, and I'm just gonna put 5.2 plus or minus 5.2. And don't forget it. Well, we need 2 answers, that's the only way to get the 2 answers, okay? Alright, 14, v squared minus 3 over 4 equals negative 4. Alright, first step, Tatiana, what do you think our first step here is gonna be? Not sure, okay, someone wanna help her out? Valid. Okay, then what we got?
Would you multiply the 4?
Good, multiply by 4 on the bottom, we wanna get rid of this guy. Okay, since it says divide by 4, we wanna multiply by 4. Okay, so I've got d squared minus 3 equals negative 16. Okay, Diana, what would our next step here be? Good, add 3 over, so d squared equals what?
Negative.
That's okay, negative 13. Okay, why is it a no solution? Very good, so when we square root and square root, we've got a negative in there, and we talked yesterday how that's no good. So in this case, we get a no solution, okay? All right, add in one more problem, number 15, top, bottom sides, wherever you got room.
Wait, do we have to write that sign or can we just put no solution?
Either way, I would take either one, okay? 2/3 d minus 1 equals 3. Oh, put your squared in there, sorry, I forgot my squared. All right, step 1. What would step 1 be here, Ben?
You add your 1 over.
Add the 1 over, okay? So we have 2/3 d squared equals 4. All right, now what would we do, Emma?
You can multiply it by the reciprocal.
Okay, you have 2 options. Would anybody have said something a little different? Multiply reciprocal is one way to do it. Ben?
I said it was multiply, or divided by 2.
Not divide by 2 right off the bat.
Oh, wait.
No, flip them and
Yeah, multiply by 3.
one over 4.
Okay, no,
Or
no,
4
no,
over 1.
no, well, let's just leave him alone.
Oh.
You're moving everything on the same size of variable. Okay, so a lot of you guys, when I taught this back in chapter 2, you guys chose just to multiply both sides by 3. That's what many of you chose to do, and I'm completely fine with that. And so when you did that, you got 2d squared equals 12, and then you decided to divide by 2 and got d squared equals 6, okay? However, since then, some of you guys have started picking up when we've got to this point, and what Emma had said, I think on the first time around is multiply by 3/2 so that it cancels out. I don't care which way you choose to do it. You can do it in 2 steps, or you can do it in 1. I don't care, just do it the way you're gonna get it right, okay? So pick one and then stick with it. But a lot of you guys have slowly started moving towards this throughout the school year, okay? And I'm okay with that, because either way, if I put this over 1 and cross cancel, 2 times 3 is still 6. It doesn't matter. You're gonna get the same answer as long as you do your math right, okay? So either multiply by reciprocal or do it in 2 steps, multiply by 3 and then divide by the 2, okay? Now, what's square root of 6? 2.4, we sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so D equals plus or minus 2.4, okay? Alright, is there any questions on that? Okay, so then on the bottom, we have a little sentence I'm gonna put on, I'm gonna put in the underlines for you. When there is no parentheses, that's your first one, no parentheses. Move everything to one side. Okay, so we're gonna move everything over to one side, basically isolating x, okay? Then square root both sides. Those are your three blanks there. Okay? Alright, anybody have any other questions? Good? Alright.